To start chapter 9, which is very fascinating. I'll tell you a story about chapter 9. So I met this young man, this is many years ago, who was a recovering heroin addict. But he's a bright guy, but he was a recovering heroin addict. And you know anything about recovering heroin addicts, there are very few of them. It's very rare for a person to recover from a heroin addiction. Maybe they can go clean for a few weeks, but it's very rare for a person to get off of that. So I asked him how he did it. And he says whenever he gets the urge, the Yetzer is burning inside him, he sits down and he learns through chapter 9 of Tanya. By the time he got to the end, he's okay. So he did it. But it takes iron will to do that. But he did, as long as I know. So I remember another one of these guys. I knew another one. And I was in the car with him when he was driving through Manhattan. And he's driving through when you have to go along Canal Street to get from the New Jersey into Brooklyn. And as he's driving down Canal Street, his hand starts shaking. He has to get out of there fast to keep on going. Okay, but these people are big heroes. People who stay, even if they're up for a few months, it takes a lot of strength. So that's how he did it. So chapter 9. So what we got so far in the first 8 chapters is we learned the anatomy of both of your souls and their origin, the anatomy of mind and emotions, and their clothing, which we spend the most time on. The clothing of the Torah, the clothing of the divine soul is in mitzvahs and learning Torah, and the clothing of the animal soul was whatever she wants to do, and we learned all the trouble that gets her into. And that took 3 chapters. Hey, Ramon, good to see you. So now that we got that all down, there's one part that we missed out. What about the body? It's also got a body. And we mentioned the body, but we didn't get into what's the relationship. The soul has a body afterwards. And as soon as you start talking about a body, an obvious question comes up. What's a soul doing inside a body? Okay, an animalistic soul, to be an animal, you need a body. Fine. But what's a divine soul doing inside a body? Right? Isn't that a puzzling thing? Right. Everybody's just looking at it. But isn't that a question? Like, well, what's a divine soul doing in a body? An animal soul goes in a body. A divine soul. Like, how are you going to fit a divine soul in a body? And if you can, what is she doing there? Does she really want to be there? Isn't it something strange? There should be a divine soul inside a physical body.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think why? Is this totally normal?
I think that is what gives us our spirit. Without it,
Yeah, it's nice for us, but what's it doing there? I mean, if you were a divine soul, would you really want to be inside a body? Wouldn't you rather be, what you'd want to be imprisoned in this meat ball with eyeballs? No, it's a meat patty with eyeballs. It walks around. What do I want to be in there for? I could be a divine soul. I could be much greater, higher
I think
places.
part of it stays there and part of it is with us. And I think when it needs to...
So it doesn't all come down into the body.
It doesn't all come down.
That's true. Most of the soul never really actually enters into the body.
And sometimes the one that is in the body needs a bit of a break and goes back up again.
Yeah, that's when you sleep. The soul gets a break.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I read this. It says it's in the blood. I don't believe it's in the blood, in my opinion.
Oh, no, we're going to get to that. About the blood. Okay, we're going to get to that.
But I think it's right that the divine soul is here, but it spends time.
We said this was a divine soul. We said Chelak Elokam Imal. It's like piece of God. in a body, a human body? What's going on? And if it's there, you would think, do you think it would have any interest in this body? You would imagine a divine soul in a body, this body, leave me alone. I just want to like reconnect my origin. What interest do I have in the body? What investment do I have? This, just get it asleep, get it out of the way. I'll let the animal take care of it, and I'll just use the brain for whatever contemplation I can. And I think that's what most spiritual movements are about, is how to release yourself of the prison of this body.
So this is a thought that I haven't had before. So the soul that we have is only part of the soul. It means that the soul is God and or part of God.
Well, it's part of God.
Part of God, and we only have part of that soul. Is that what?
Yeah, the most of the soul never really descends into the body.
Yeah,
It stays beyond, and that of the soul that does come into the body has to connect to the soul that's beyond it. And even say that, there's all the levels of the soul: Chaya, the Yechida, Chaya, Shama, Ruach, Nefesh. Tanya only talks about explicitly Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. Neshama stays mostly beyond the body. Ruach comes into the body, but it's like an aura around the body as well. And Nefesh that's the part that's keeping you alive. That's within the body and stays with the body even after death. Death is when the Ruach leaves to above, and the Nefesh begins to leave as the body decomposes.
But that's still the divine soul, that's not the animal soul.
Well, that's the soul as a whole. Relative to the body, as far as the body is concerned, it's all one soul. It's what's keeping me alive. Because it's not two souls. Like some of the Greeks thought. Is that the cat doing that again? It's not two souls like some of the Greeks thought that, there's one soul for your brain, one soul for your stomach, one soul for your heart. It's not that type of thing. They're nested. The divine soul is nested within the animal soul.
So it's wrong to think of the soul as a personal thing?
Because we learn we all have a divine soul.
Yeah, it's two. So as far as the body is concerned, the body perceives there's only one soul here. But if you go and look in the soul itself, you see there's a soul within a soul. Within this animal soul, there's nested within there is the divine soul, because the animal soul's there first, and then within it comes the divine soul. So the way Rabbeinu Bachya describes it in Genesis, he says that God takes this earth, and out of the earth he makes a human being, and this human being has a soul like every other animal. And then he blows into him this neshama, which is the divine soul. So it's some sort of exogenous to him, but it comes within, invests within the animal that's already there. So that's why the body only feels one soul. Your body doesn't feel two souls here. But within the animal's being, no, there's something in here that's pestering me. And that's not from me. It has a different origin.
I've always thought of it as it's my soul to keep it pure, or to make it impure, to do what, with my free will, to do what I want to with that soul.
Yes, so
is that a thought before?
Who is me is the question.
Sorry?
It's my soul, so who is me? So this bizarre, in the language we use, is very perplexing. We say, I have a body, I have a soul. Who are you? It's a question that everybody asks.
Rabbi, could I ask a question?
Oh no, this is Rabbi Solish's mother. Yes,
yeah.
please.
Could the soul somehow connect to the body in one aspect of the body because the body was created in the image of Hashem? Is it possible for the soul
So since
to
the
make a
body is
connection?
created in the divine image, therefore it can take a divine soul. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We're getting along those lines. Yeah, I tell you, when I ask a question like this, what's a soul doing in a body? It's like when you take a fine wine and you're about to drink the wine first, you take in the bouquet of the wine, you take a sip, you don't gulp it down, right? A nice wine. So I feel when you're learning something, there's good questions. You want to savor the question beforehand. And what people tend to do as soon as there's a question makes them uncomfortable, so they have to find an answer right away. But I like the questions. I say, so the question to me of what's a soul, a divine soul doing in a body? Yeah, you can give this answer, this answer. In truth, none of the answers are really sufficient because your divine soul is always having the same question. What on earth am I doing here? I don't belong here. I shouldn't be here. This is bizarre that I'm here. And that's what keeps it going. That's what keeps life happening, is the soul can't figure out what on earth I'm doing. And if the soul would be good, yeah, okay, this is the place I'm supposed to be. It makes absolute sense. That's death.
So I think my question's linked to that, though. If we, humanity, is a place for the divine to reside in this material world, shouldn't the soul also want to be here if the divine, like, wishes to have a place in the material world?
Yeah, well, God wants to be here. But why should the soul want to be here? Well, it's because you say it's a part of God. But it gets stuck inside a body. I mean, the body is very limiting to it. And it's never going to get, well, very, very rarely will it get everything that it wants. Most likely, it's not going to get what it wants. So it's going to be always dissatisfied, always in struggle, always in turmoil, always in conflict by being here, whereas it has a very serene existence, if you can call it existence, before it comes to the body.
And that was a comment I was going to make, if I may. I probably shouldn't, but I have spoken to psychics who have on occasion
To who? To psychics, yes.
Who have on non-Jewish, who have on occasion thanked me for sharing what I know about Kabbalah with them, because they say it reinforces what they seek to believe to be true as well.
Yeah, sure.
And what they have said to me, some of your soul resides here, and some of it's there. And if you pollute yourself with such lust and greed and negative thoughts, your soul, it goes back up. Not all of it, but a lot of it, because it just cannot stand being here. But if you live a pure life, if you live with like we went to, more of your soul will come because it's more comfortable in this space. But there's times where it just goes up there because it needs the respite.
Yes. So it says on the Zohar that at first you begin with just nefesh, and the ruach doesn't want to come in. A person works on himself, so he'll get ruach to enter. And then works more, gets neshama to enter. And then eventually the nefesh has the nefesh of the nefesh, the neshama, the ruach of the nefesh, the neshama of the nefesh. And then a person works really hard, he gets the ruach itself, not ruach of the nefesh, but ruach itself. And they get nefesh of the ruach of the ruach, the neshama of the ruach, and reaches higher and higher. Until Yaakov Avinu, he was able to get chaya to come into himself. And Mashiach will be the one who gets Yechida to come in. So, the more the higher you reach, you refine your body until it's able to attain all of these things.
Through prayer, through, how do you do so?
By being nice to people.
Yes. And to your point, I think what the Rabbi was saying earlier, which is you? Like, your soul is you. That's the one that goes through eternity. That's the one that comes back. So when you said you, are you talking about your soul, or you were talking about your garment?
You. When we say you, I, all these things, it's a very illusory thing. I like to think of the I, the me, as like in The Sound of Music. What's me in the Sound of Music?
It's been a long time since I watched
You
it.
don't, what?
Do, re, mi.
Yeah, what's me?
Do, re, mi. Is it not?
Me, a name I call myself. That's all it is. There's no really such thing. It's changing at every moment who it is. It's when you have a soul and a body and things are happening, I have to call myself something, so I have to call that something, so I call it me. It's a useful illusion. Okay. So let's get into the text now. Okay. We start chapter 9 with animal headquarters. So a little preface over here. 2 souls occupy your entire body. Right? They're not particular places. Like I said, some Greeks believed. But both souls occupy your entire body. But each has her point of entry, a particular place of residence, which serves as a kind of headquarters and activity hub for her agenda. If you're there, I posted it in the WhatsApp so you can look at it or download it, whatever. I hope you have it there, the PDF. Okay, now the animalistic Klipat Noga soul has her particular place of residence within every Jew in the heart, specifically the left ventricle. Why the left ventricle? Because the left ventricle of the heart is filled with life-giving blood. The Torah says that the blood is the soul. Okay, I got to back up here. Heart, right? Like there's a heart over here, right? Mostly on the left side. There's 2 pumps. Well, really 4 pumps. We say it's 2 pumps, mainly 2 pumps. There's one pump that receives the blood from your veins and pumps it through your lungs. Then there's another pump that gets it from the lungs and has to pump it through your entire body. Okay, simple question. Which pump is stronger?
Pushing pump.
They're both pushing. One's pushing through your lungs,
One's got negative pressure, it pulls.
No, they're both pushing, both taking in. One takes in from veins, pumps it through the lungs. The other one takes it from the lungs and pumps it through your entire body.
That's the stronger one.
Which one?
The body, the one that goes through the whole
Right,
body.
the one that has to pump through the entire body has to be much
Sure.
stronger.
That's the left
So
ventricle.
70% of the strength at least is there in the left ventricle, and it's using up much more blood through the coronary arteries, and it's doing like the real pushing work. So that's one difference between them. One is much thicker wall because it's a stronger muscle. The other difference between the two is one is receiving blood, but that blood is oxygen depleted, right? The right ventricle is getting the oxygen depleted blood that's coming through your veins. Those are the greenish ones, right? And the left ventricle is getting oxygen rich blood, and that's pumping it through your arteries as well as through the vagus system that goes up to your head. So now when the body looks for where are we getting this blood from? What does the body feel? Where is it getting its blood from? From the left ventricle. Right? You never give any credit to the guy who's doing the hard work, getting the oxygen into it. You give the credit to the guy who's handing it to do it. That's the retailer, right? That's where I bought it from. Okay? Manufacturer, processor, okay. This is the retailer. He's giving like, when, say, a person is embarrassed and his face goes flush, that's the left ventricle. Just pump that blood there. Or his tingles, his fingers are tingling. That's the heart is not giving it the blood that it needs. You're feeling dizzy. That's the heart doing that. Feeling butterflies in your stomach. It's the heart, the left ventricle of the heart. So whenever we feel emotions in our body, it's coming from the left ventricle of the heart. Those type of impulsive emotions are coming from the left ventricle of the heart. Now, to talk about the heart in general, is what kind of an organ is it? It's a pump. It's constantly moving. There's no other part of you that's constantly moving. From the time of conception, as soon as there's a heart, it starts to pump. And it pumps for 120 years. Just keeps on going. So those cells you had in your heart when you were born, they're still there pumping. They haven't had a second off. The same cells. That's why it's so difficult when there's, God forbid, a scar tissue in the heart. Can't heal. Very, very difficult to get scar tissue to heal. Because if you're not working in the heart, you're not working. What are you doing here? You have to pull your weight. It's constant work. No stops. There's nothing else in the body that does such a thing. Constant, never rests. Not a moment. We can't build a machine that can do that. Nobody's built a machine that can keep on going non-stop for 120 years. Don't have material that can do that. It's the same cell. They don't get replaced. Everything else in your body gets replaced over and over again. Your skin gets replaced every 2 weeks. So things in your body that last maybe 7 months or so. But everything gets, except for those cells, constantly working. What do they have to do, those cells? Pumping all the time, but they have to, all of them pump in sync with each other. Perfect synchronized all together. And they have to be able to react immediately. Like there are many rhythms going on in your body, but all those rhythms go in like a meter, like the perfect rhythm all the time. The only one that doesn't is your heart. Heart is never perfectly rhythmical. It's constantly adjusting. Especially when you're younger. As you get older, it gets into its grind. But when you're young, a good, healthy heart never pumps exactly the same twice in a row. Constantly changing, constantly adjusting. And how does it know to adjust? It gets feedback from the body. And according to what the body's telling it, that's how it pumps. Why not from the brain? Because if we would wait for the brain, if the heart would have to wait for the brain to give it signals, we wouldn't be able to survive. You would never get the oxygen that you need. It cannot wait for the brain, which was why there's another unique thing about the heart. It's the only organ you can take out of a living creature, and it'll keep working.
What?
It will keep working. As long as you give it blood, it will keep pumping. You can take it out of take it out of a frog, put it on your desk, it just keeps going. So it doesn't need the brain to tell it what to do.
I guess a human heart though as well does the same. If it's a transplant, you put it in.
Yeah.
And it's still beating.
Yeah, so it's an issue that you put it there and it does have no nervous connection to the brain, but it keeps on pumping. So you have to have a pacemaker there to slow it down because it's going to go too fast a lot of the time. And then the person gets anxiety, all sorts of problems. So
Or too slow.
Yeah, well, usually too fast.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah. So the brain is you have the sympathetic system and parasympathetic system. One system is telling the heart to speed up. The other system is telling it to slow down. And whichever one is dominant at the time, that's what the heart's going to be doing. But it's very hard for the brain to slow the heart down, which is an anomaly. Every muscle in your body, the brain says, do this, and it does that. To the heart, we want you to slow down. We said we want you to slow down. Heart, you're supposed to be slowing down. And if your brain does it consistently with very powerful messages, you can slow down your heart. But try it. Sit down one day and try to get your heart to slow down.
Your breath can do it.
You what?
Your breathing can slow down your heart.
You
The way you breathe can
You're
slow
breathing,
down.
yeah. So you have to do it indirectly. When the heart sees that the lungs are breathing rhythmically and so on, it's called Benson's relaxation response. Then the heart gets the message from the body. But people who practice yoga will sit there and get their heart to slow down directly by constantly sending it messages to slow down. And eventually it'll slow down. It's very hard. No, if Somebody does something and it triggers a response from you, and you lost your temper and try to tell your heart to slow down. So many of these responses that we have, immediate responses, didn't go through the brain, went straight to the heart. Could be, for example, you slip on something. Immediately your heart starts rushing before the message gets to the brain. Or there's not enough air, your heart starts pumping harder. Doesn't need a message from the brain. So the heart has a certain degree of autonomy from the brain. And it's an autonomy that the brain has to work very hard to override it. Okay, the stomach also has some autonomy from the brain, but it's nothing like what the heart has. So,
I got a doctor with
yeah,
adrenal
right.
gets the heart going
Yeah.
faster and faster.
Yeah.
What stimulates the adrenal?
Well, so the brain will tell the body to produce more adrenaline, and that gets to the heart. But it could happen even in other ways as well. Sometimes a lot of anxiety is because the heart started racing, and the brain doesn't know why it's racing. And then people have that, like this example of slipping or something like that. Something happened, and the heart got the message before the brain. So the heart started rushing, and the brain doesn't understand why it's not supposed to be rushing, and that causes tremendous anxiety. I know I had once an anxiety attack because I had a lot of pressure on me, and I went to lie down in bed. Never lie down in bed to go to sleep when you're under pressure. It's not a good idea. So my heart was racing, and my brain was trying to go to sleep because it was tired, and that triggered anxiety attack. So that's the other thing. The heart, first of all, is powerful. It's constant, and it doesn't need the brain. It has a certain autonomy. And another thing about the brain, about the heart can react more immediately, faster, more rapidly than any other organ, and than any muscle, any reflex. Why? Because all of your muscles, the way they work, there's a nerve and there's a muscle. The nerve tells the muscle flinch, right, contract. Or the nerve tells the muscle relax. Okay? The heart doesn't work that way. The nerve is the muscle. It's one thing. It's a muscle that's a neuron. So as soon as it has the message, it's doing it already. It doesn't need to be told. Not only that, but all of those nerves of these muscles are all connected to each other so that they all work together. And they're all in sync. The right and the left side, and everything's in sync, and everything's working together. So therefore, the heart is impulsive. As impulsive as you can get. Immediately, bang. The brain has to go through all the processing. Well, the middle brain says like this, the frontal lobes are saying calm it down, and then we'll discuss it, and then it sends a message. This neuron considers it, sends to the next neuron, that considers it. Any neuron along the way could hijack the whole thing. And then eventually it gets to the glandular system. The glandular system send out their hormones. And by that time, the heart's like 10 steps ahead. Right? And it's vital. It has to be that way. That's what keeps you alive. There are things that take a nanosecond. You have to respond immediately. So your heart is impulsive. So that's what makes your heart the ideal residence for animals. It's like the perfect place for it. What's an animal? It reacts. It's impulsive with very strong, powerful impulses, and it just goes for it. It's totally subjective and reactive. That's an animal. So that's where the animal soul resides the best, resides the most. The heart, yeah.
Godly soul.
So let's go step by step. So we said in the heart, but the left ventricle. Why the left ventricle? Because we say it's everywhere, but principally that left ventricle, because that's filled with the life-giving blood. Torah says the blood is the soul. It's when it says that blood is the soul. So the rabbis say, what does that mean? The blood is the soul. It means the blood that the soul is dependent, but your life is dependent upon, which is the blood that's the life-giving, the blood that's in the left side of your heart, right? Which means that the body soul is chiefly present in the blood that life depends upon, which is the oxygenated blood that emerges out of the left ventricle. That's why all craving, boasting, anger, and similar emotions, what do we mean similar emotions? They're all impulsive emotions. All those emotions are in the heart, and from the heart they spread to the entire body to have their effect. Okay, so that's emotions, impulsive emotions. Besides residing in the heart where she engenders emotions, the animalistic soul also rises to your brain to consciously note these emotions, chatter about them in your mind, and devise means to fulfill them. It's just like blood. Oxygenated blood originates in the heart. From your heart spreads to all your limbs and also rises to your brain. So the primary place then of the and its residence is that left ventricle of the heart. It also spreads to the body, but the soul itself also goes up there to your brain. It doesn't just spread there, it goes up there to your brain. Actually, the brain is connected to the heart differently than the rest of your body. The rest of your body, it goes through all those arteries, but there's a special connection straight to the brain, so the brain gets the most oxygen-rich blood, gets the premier blood. And if there's any triage has to be done, brain gets the blood first. So there has a special connection. But what the animal is doing from there to the brain, the animal says just rises to the brain and sort of breaks into the cockpit with the submachine gun and says, we're taking over. In some people, it takes over for a few hours a day. In most people, it takes over for about 23 hours and 59 minutes a day. So it goes up there, but it doesn't belong. It's not its real place. Its real place is in the heart. But it goes up there to the brain, kicks the pilot out, and says, I'm taking over. And it hijacks his brain. But it's not in its place, and that's not what a brain is for, but that's what it's using it for. So that's the chatter that happens in your brain. It's just, you think it's thought, they're not thoughts. And if you start writing them down, you'll see they're not thoughts. The chatter that comes up to your brain, it's just heart blood bubbling up there. Impulsive thoughts, often non sequiturs. Another thought, another thought, another. They're all reactions to things. Busy away over there. So that's the animal rising up to the brain, hijacking it, and thinking these thoughts. So that's why I say you have the feelings are in your brain. The feelings are really in your brain, but the thought, the consciousness of the feelings is there in your brain. And they become feelings, not just impulses, feelings. And then you think, oh, so this is what I want. How am I going to get it? That's why you need to be conscious of it, so you can devise ways of getting it. But they're not really thoughts. They're emotions disguised as thoughts. None of that. I find this very helpful. Very helpful. Because we tend to look at those thoughts and say, first of all, we make that first delusion of thinking that they are thoughts when they're really emotions, particular. And then we think, that's me. It's not you. It's stupid stuff coming up from your heart. Why am I thinking that? Well, it's just reacting to stuff around you, that's all.
They say it's the same thing with beliefs. Beliefs are just thoughts that you've repeated to yourself.
Beliefs?
Beliefs.
Beliefs are just what?
Thoughts that you have told yourself so many times that it becomes a belief. It doesn't, just because you believe it doesn't necessarily mean it's a truth. You've just told yourself it so many times.
Assumptions and so on, they're convenient. It's different than convictions. Convictions come from within. Yeah, Okay, but we're talking about like that.
And that's different, not faith, not just, you can believe that you're going to be a success, you believe you're fair, it's just a thought. And you repeat
Yeah,
it.
your mother said all these things to you when you're a kid, and they keep on bouncing
It's
around.
a thought, and you think it so many times, it becomes a belief.
Yeah.
And just as you can condition
Beliefs
your
about
thoughts,
yourself that are not necessarily true, and all those things. But just, any one time, just try to passively observe the chatter in your brain. Did you ever try that? Just sit back or lie down and passively observe the chatter in your brain. To me, it sounds like 3 a.m. radio talk stations on at the same time. That's not. I just lie back and listen to it. It's total nonsense. And you hear all sorts of voices and ideas and things that you must have heard at some point, but you can never remember where they were. It's just static electricity or some sort happening up there. As opposed to, I'm deliberately deciding that I want to think about this, and now I'll think it through. Well, that's not so animalistic anymore. But how often do people ever do that? In my experience, if you tell a person, think about this, they have great difficulty deciding, I'm going to think about this. It's only when the situation demands it, the context demands it, the memela, because it comes out spontaneously, that's what they're thinking. But to deliberately say, I'm thinking about this, but that's what the brain is really all about. But the heart is just that impulsive thinking. So let's get to the brain. The divine headquarters. Okay, where are the divine headquarters? What do you know? The divine soul's place of residence, however, is in the 3 regions of the brain. And from there she extends to every limb. You know the 3 regions of the brain? So there are many regions in the brain, but talking about these 3 regions, meaning you have a right hemisphere, a left hemisphere, and you have a brainstem. And those are 3 brains. The Zohar calls them 3 brains. One is the brain for Chokhmah, the other is for Bina, and the other one's for Da'at. We learned about them in chapter 3. But then we learned about them just as they're in the soul. Now we're learning about them as they're embodied within these 3 regions of the brain. So that's her residence. And she also resides in the heart. I don't know, I think we changed it. Not she also resides, because it's the same residence. I guess I'm not comfortable with the language here. It's one residence. Where is the residence? The residence is brain and right side of the heart. But it's not, for the brain, it's not 2 separate places. For the soul, it's not 2 separate places. It's all one thing.
You have an editor?
I am the editor.
You are the editor.
Yeah, and I keep on getting this, but I don't like the way it says it. I have to find a better way. It should be just, she's also, and also, I mean, it just, and also in the heart, but I don't know how to say it. Because you could still understand from this that it's 2 different residences. So it's one residence. Where is the residence? In the brain and in the heart, but it's one place. No, certain parts, it's an interesting thing that when your eyes are hurting, the back of your head is hurting because the nerves are connected. But another interesting, apparently people's foreheads are connected to their knees. Why? Because when you were in the womb, your head was in between your knees. So there's a connection between your knees and the head. All these connections your body has. Anyways, the right side of the heart is connected. Well, the heart, even though it's down here, is better connected to the brain than anything else because it has a direct connection. But here, as far as the head is concerned, the right side of the heart is like part of the head. Why? Because that's where the emotions from the brain appear in the right side of the heart. You'll see. Okay. So she also resides in the heart, in the right ventricle, where there's no oxygenated, life-giving blood. As the verse goes, the heart of a sage is to his right. That's what it says. Okay. There she reveals herself as love for God, on the right side of the heart. So these are emotions that come from the brain to the heart. They're divine emotions that are in the heart. Love for God, a love like burning coals of flames ablaze in the hearts of deep thinkers as they engage their mind's dat to comprehend and contemplate things that awaken such love. That's love. Or the same mind-heart dynamic occurs when your heart responds to your mind with joy in God's beauty and the glory of transcendence. So these are different kind of emotions. They're not impulsive emotions like anger and so. These are emotions that you thought about something, and therefore you feel an emotion to it. I decided I'm going to think about this. I'm going to think about God, and when I think about it, an emotion appears. So this is how it happens. You engage your two brains of Chochmah and Bina, the wise person's eyes which are in his head, to gaze upon the glory of the King and the unfathomable beauty of his greatness, a greatness without boundaries and without end. And then this joy of the divine soul emerges in your heart, as explained elsewhere. And the same applies to all other holy emotions of the heart. They all emerge from the Chochmah, Bina, and Dat of the brain. So now, just like I told you, that chatter things, that it's just the animal, is so valuable, this is also very valuable. How do you know when you have an intuition, some sort of emotion? How do you know which soul this is coming from? It's coming from the divine soul or from the animal soul. How will you know? If it's a reaction to something, it's the animal. If it's deliberate, you thought about something, and now having thought about it very deeply, you feel in a certain way, that's more likely the divine soul. But if you have an emotion without having thought about it, it just happened and I reacted. Like an example, very simple example. Somebody says to you something you don't like and you lash out at it. That's a divine soul. That's an animal soul. How do you know? I reacted. Somebody says something nasty to you. What's happening with this person? Why is he feeling that way? I didn't do anything. This must be something that's bothering him. And you turn to him and say, what's wrong? You had a bad day today? Can I help you? Oh, no, that's more likely a divine soul that's doing that. So that's how you know. You know, sometimes you don't know. Should I help this person? Should I not help this person? What should you do? So you sort of remove yourself from the situation. It's not as though it's not your money and it's not going to be your time. Try to look at it objectively. You contemplate, think, what's it like to be this person? What's the situation they're in? What would happen if I would help them? And then you have a feeling in your heart what you should do. Oh, but you thought about it. So likely that feeling that you're feeling is the right thing to do. You're not going to do anything until you have that feeling of what to do. People don't. That's why they're called emotions, because they're the things that get you into motion. The brain never gets you into motion. It's your emotions that get you into motion. But the fact that you pondered it, and this is how you feel now, that's likely a good emotion that you should follow. But emotions that are impulse like that, not good. Unless you're in danger, you have to react immediately. What I'm saying is
Can I ask a question?
Please.
Yeah.
Who's this? Amanda.
So, hi.
When did you come in here? I didn't see you come in.
I came in quiet behind the scenes.
Yeah. Okay.
So it says over here that this Simchas Levov, right? That he
The what?
has the Simchas Levov. He feels it in his heart.
Joy, yeah.
The joy,
Joy.
and also it's the Avas in his heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ava Kirish B'Yesh. So
Love. Yes.
right, love. So is that going to be in his right heart or in his left heart? Because he's connected to where his
Yes,
mind
in the right side of his heart.
in the right side of his heart. So if so,
Yeah.
he's not going to feel it because in the right we don't feel the right side of our.
Well, what it does is it doesn't immediately have that immediate effect on you. You now have to decide, yeah, that's a good feeling, I'm going to do something. anger, when you feel a person feel anger, that's the final step. If he's feeling anger, he's already lashing out. When a person feels in the left heart, it's a much quieter feeling. As you know what, I should do this. I'll
One sec.
take
No,
it.
but I'm asking a different. I'm asking a question. I guess there's two. Is there two hearts physically?
No, it's one heart with two pumps. One
Okay.
pump
So
is pumping into the lungs,
yeah.
and then out of the lungs it comes to the other pump, and that pump pumps it through the body. There's a thick wall between them.
But
We
we
don't
don't
have
feel
any
at all
left.
our right side. We don't feel it.
In the right side is going to be a much more subtle feeling. The left side is a powerful, impulsive feeling, pumps through your entire body. The right side is much quieter, stiller. You have to listen
So when it
more
says
carefully.
that he has an ava krish beish, right? Flam, what does that mean in English? A
It means it's like a burst of flame. That
burst.
get
So it
to later.
means
Yeah, there's a burst of flame there in the right, but it's still a
how
small
could it be?
flame relative to what's happening in the left ventricle. Has nuclear explosions relative to this. So
Okay.
it's going to take a while to get it over there.
Uh-huh. But is it possible
And
to
for most
feel?
of us, it's kind of a small flame. We wish it would be such a big flame. It's usually a little flame. You got to listen to it.
But it's possible to feel it. It's possible to feel the right side.
Subtle feeling, yeah.
Subtle feeling. Okay.
Yeah. But you have to sit still and listen. Listen.
Just
And something when. So I just want to finish off when you're feeling a very heavy push or pump in the left side. It doesn't mean always it's from the back. It doesn't always mean the back.
It means it's from the animal soul. It could be saving your life, but it's coming from the animal. Unless, what we get to later, the right side gets so strong that it overflows into the left side and takes over.
Okay.
That's when you get there, you let me know.
Okay.
Yeah.
only Sadics get there.
I'll get there later. I mean, right now we're talking about how the whole system works, but it doesn't tell you about all the obstacles and problems along the way, right? The animal is doing everything it can to stop you from getting in there, and every type of distraction possible. But yeah, the tzaddik gets there, floods the left side. Then you have both sides. We'll get to that. But right now we've got two souls, each one with its headquarters, each one throughout the entire body. Now what happens when you have two different systems in the same body? And they're in conflict with each other. Well, the fact is, there are many systems in your body that are in conflict with each other. That's how the body works. Any engine, anything that works by having two things in conflict. The negative side and the positive side, and they work things out, they negotiate things. So you might think that here, the two sides, they're very opposite from each other, but maybe they could negotiate matters and work things out between them. So that what we're going to get to next week is that it's non-negotiable. There's a battle going on over here, and there's no negotiation table, and there's no even possibility for negotiation table because each side wants unconditional surrender of the other side. Each side wants complete takeover.
Yet it's still one soul.
Yeah. We're very conflicting species.
Is that Jacob and Esau?
Yeah, Jacob and Esau. That's inside you. I got Jacob and Esau. We're all Rivka, you may know, with Jacob and Esau inside us. So that's what we'll get to. But like I said, at this point, you could think, as far as we learn now, you could think, well, they can negotiate something. Like everything else, like I said, the sympathetic and parasympathetic, they negotiate something. You have, your immune system. There's part of your immune system that says more inflammation. The other part of your immune system says less inflammation. And somehow they work out that they're supposed to work out just the right amount of inflammation, okay? So they work things out. Everything about human being is negotiations. You're reaching an equilibrium, homeostasis. But this these two systems, sorry, there's no stasis. This is conflict until you either become a tzaddik gomer or otherwise it's complete conflict. But we'll get to that next week on well. Okay, very useful information. So God willing, see everybody next week. We continue the battle, and next week will be Hanukkah. So we'll have to have a Hanukkah over here when we do this. Probably some people will be having Hanukkah parties, but I'm not planning on it. So 7:30 next week. Hope to see everybody then. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. That's correct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rabbi.